Can't wait to hear Ric Bucher's take, but you got to start with me and Marcellus's debate we've been having all show so far. I blame the Bulls management, Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf. I think this documentary, 2 episodes in, is putting a full clown suit on these guys. They look incompetent. To me, they look greedy, and they look bigoted to me in the way they treated Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And is it fair for me to put this much blame on Krause and Reinsdorf for the ending of this dynasty?
No, it's not fair. They were right. Because ultimately, this team had come to the end of the road. If you look at where Michael Jordan was, if you look at where Scottie Pippen was, B.J. Armstrong mentioned it, had serious back surgery. He was never the same after that. Ron Harper was in his 30s. Steve Kerr was in his 30s. Michael Jordan was 34. Dennis Rodman was 36. The reality is that they were going to need to rebuild. And Phil Jackson has been proved since is not a great rebuilding coach. And Michael Jordan said at the end of the 97 season that he didn't want to be part of a rebuilding, that the Cubs had been rebuilding for 42 years. So as difficult as it is for me to say, yes, you needed to go in another direction, if Michael Jordan didn't want to play with someone other than Scottie Pippen or with a coach other than Phil Jackson, they had no choice but to go to the direction they did. The other element that's not being discussed is the fact that the collective bargaining agreement was up, and they instituted a new collective bargaining agreement that for the first time in NBA history put a cap on salaries. So Michael Jordan not only was going to have to come back and be part of a rebuilding process, but he wasn't going to make anything close to the $33 million that he'd made the year before. That probably would have been sliced basically in half. It would have been a 50-game season. Who knows where they would have been? I can see where they might have eked one more championship out of that 50-game season. But would that have been worth having a team that had nothing at the end of it and had to be completely rebuilt at that point? They haven't done a great job. They didn't do a great job since then. But the fact of the matter is, as badly as they handled it from a PR standpoint and a relationship standpoint, they were right in looking at this team and saying, we are going to have to refresh what we have. And Michael Jordan didn't want to be part of that.
Man, you broke that down. I mean, Whitlock, you look too sad to have on such a joyous-looking shirt. I mean, you got to pump up on this one right now, big dog. Let me tell you this. Let's add this.
I can't believe it.
Let's add all of this. Man, okay, this is the problem with retroactive thinking, because all we are living in is a summation. But let's time travel to the moment where all they had was the information at that time. And everything that Rick just said, I want to add to that. Remember what he said, the injury to Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, all that. 2 other factors. One, if you really want to dive into the numbers, Jordan has started his own, and this is a relative decline to him, his own greatness. He started his own decline in terms of assists, steals, points, free throw percentage. Everything was starting to go a little south, and he was going to be 35 who didn't want to rebuild. But more importantly, even if he does want to rebuild, is the level of commitment and cost to that rebuild. Don't forget, if you're an executive and Michael Jordan, after winning 3 championships, walks up to you and says, peace, I'll see you later, for a year and a half, and then you come back and run it back, don't you already have a contingency plan to deal with the lack of commitment you've already seen from your star player? I think that's something that's not being highlighted enough. We still have 8 more episodes. Maybe we get into that. But certainly that has to be a consideration. The guy dipped on us before, fool on us. Next time, it won't be a fool on us. Next time, we'll be prepared.
These guys fell into Michael Jordan with the number 3 pick because Portland made a tragic decision on Sam Bowie. And, hey, applaud. I'm glad the Chicago Bulls got him. It's a great story. But they clearly mishandled Michael Jordan from the giddy-up. Go look at his second season when the guy has to basically move to North Carolina so he can go ahead and rehab the way that he wants to and start playing basketball. And then they bring him back we're going to let you play 7 minutes a half. 14, we don't want to make the playoffs. You're taking the ultimate competitor and trying to harness him and trying to put a leash on him. This is crazy. They mishandled Michael Jordan from day one, and there was always this disconnect. Had they partnered with Michael, rather than treating him like a disposable commodity, if they had done what Auerbach did with Bill Russell, what Auerbach did with Larry Bird, what Kraft and Belichick did with Tom Brady for 20 years, I don't think Michael Jordan would have ever retired the first time, and he damn sure wouldn't have retired after being the MVP in 1998 and winning the championship. That's a hell of a decline if you're the MVP, but Jason, you're in decline, and I get it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rick. Yeah, I can't believe this. Go ahead.
Now I have to ask. We did watch the same documentary last night, because what you heard when Michael Jordan came in, and you're dead on, you're right, they didn't lose him in 96, 97. They lost him in 85 when they wouldn't allow him to come back and play. That was where the first time the way his mentality was and the way the team's mentality was different. But here's the reality. The team's mentality always has to be different. They can't think about the individual. A good organization thinks about the collective. And what we heard and saw in that documentary was the fact that everybody in the league thought, okay, he's great, but he ain't all that because he's not a center. And this is a big man league. He's a two-guard. Who wins championships with a two-guard? He's going to be exciting. He's going to sell tickets. But is he going to win championships? And so they were looking at it from a very practical standpoint. This is going to be our moneymaker. He broke his foot. We got a team that is maybe sneaks into the playoffs and then has to play the mighty Boston Celtics, but otherwise our team sucks. Why should we try to derail our gravy train now just because he wants to come back and finish the season? That, to me, is where they lost Jordan, but they couldn't have possibly known at that time what they had and that he was just
You could have got him back, Rick. My point is you could have got him back. The man wins 3 titles. You should have started re-recruiting him and tried to get him back and see that you got this special creature. You got this special basketball player. You got this special individual from a unique situation. They had to adjust, and they should have. And with Scottie Pippen, you have to adjust. And with Phil Jackson, once you discover you got this pot of gold, treat it like a pot of gold.
Well, hold on. Scottie Pippen's contract. Scottie Pippen is the one who made that mistake. Scottie Pippen's agent is the one who made that mistake. If I'm the team and I say, hey, we'll give you 7 years, $18 million, or I even float anything close to that, and the guy says, okay, we're listening, I'm going back to my office and go, you won't believe this. Scottie Pippen is going to sign a seven-year deal for $18 million. Are you going to go back and go, hey, you know what? We can't do that. That's not fair. We got to give him $30 million. We got to give him team in the history.
When you're partnering with somebody, you don't exploit them. You don't take advantage of them when you're partnering with somebody. If it's just a if it's Bill Whittington, exploit him, not Scottie Pippen, not the guy that's other than Michael Jordan winning your championships. You just don't do. We got to move. I want to get to the other. Last night, to me, the whole MJ, LeBron, GOAT discussion, it ended. It's over. I really don't want to talk about it anymore. Rick, I don't want to hear from you yet. Marcellus, did the GOAT deal end for you last night? It's over. It ended for me. Let's quit talking about Michael Jordan's on another planet.
Oh, really? So watching Michael Jordan and all of his greatness, something he supported and endorsed, and we saw 2 of 10 hours of a documentary highlighting his road to becoming the icon he is. Your mind drifted to a LeBron place. Your mind went, like many others went, to LeBron world and start trending his name. Look, if you really mean what you are saying, that the GOAT conversation is over, you wouldn't be thinking about LeBron James. There's a lot of all-time greats that are close on the Mount Rushmore. None of their names were trending. No one is talking about them today. But it's funny, every time we think about who's the best, and we're like, it's MJ. Forget LeBron. Who brought up LeBron? Where does LeBron talk come from? And you know where it comes from? because you know you can't easily dismiss him because he's the only other player outside of Kareem, but nobody wants to have that conversation, that really qualifies for what we're talking about. So if you really want to show me that LeBron is out of this, you wouldn't show love to Jordan or you wouldn't show hate to LeBron. You would show apathy. You would show nothing, but you can't because you know this is a real conversation. Stay in it, LeBron.
For me, the debate between Jordan and LeBron on the greatest of all time never started. But certainly it didn't start for me because I knew what we're going to see and what we've seen in this documentary. So, yes, it ended the LeBron-Michael Jordan debate. But to your point, Marcellus, we're never going to stop debating who's the greatest of all time. That's going to continue. And so we are going to have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. People are going to go back and they're going to say, okay, we need a 10-part documentary on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Let's go back and visit what he did and what he was able to do. And did we overlook him in this conversation? That's where this is going to go. The conversation about greatest of all time is never going to end. It's simply going to end as far as the LeBron-Michael Jordan debate.
Okay, Rick, and that is my point because I do think you could have a Kareem argument. Unless LeBron, he needed this championship this year, and then I might have considered it. But I'm just telling you, last night, there were things I forgot about Jordan. Well, I'm just serious. I didn't realize it never fact. I remember the series against the Boston Celtics in 85-86, or 85-86, I believe. I remember that shit. I didn't remember that was a 30-win team that just eked into the playoffs and had Orlando Woolridge, the ghost of George Gervin, Kyle Macy, Dave Corzine, and LeBron took him to Michael took him to double overtime with 63 points against the greatest team perhaps in NBA history, that Boston Celtics team. A lot of people make that argument. Michael took him to double overtime by himself.
What?
I'm just sorry.
Okay,
LeBron's
hold on.
Not on that play.
Hold on. We're watching a documentary that Michael Jordan signed off on everything, including the things that weren't flattering. He still saw some gain in those things. So if we saw a 10-part documentary on LeBron James where he signed off on everything, you think the discussion of GOAT will be over? If we saw LeBron golfing with his opponent the day before a playoff game, how would that look? Because I know how we criticize LeBron right now. We saw LeBron just, after winning championships, just disappear. How would that look in terms of his legacy? Like, these are the things that I hope you said you forgot them. Well, we're going to remind you because this documentary is meant to highlight, only show great things of Michael Jordan. But for me, it actually makes me say, wow, if he played today, the athletes would be better. He would have to go against greater talent and volume. And all this quitting in the middle of it and all this playing with your opponents and this soft league that we call now because everyone's a friend, that will look different for the Jordan of old.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.